Dr. Sarah was drinking her third cup of coffee when the universe changed forever. She sat in the control room of the Arecibo Observatory, watching the endless stream of cosmic noise flow across her computer screens. 20 years of searching for alien signals, and all she had found were dead stars and empty space. The coffee was terrible, but it kept her awake during the night shift. Sarah rubbed her tired eyes and checked the time. 3 in the morning, just another quiet night listening to the cosmos. Then every alarm in the building started screaming. Sarah jumped, spilling coffee across her keyboard. The main display screen flashed red warnings. Her computer detected something impossible. A signal was coming from outside the solar system. A real signal, not random noise or a pulsar. This was clearly artificial. "Computer, run full analysis," Sarah said, her hands shaking as she typed commands. The results made her heart race. The signal was complex, organized, and definitely made by intelligent beings. But that was not the strangest part. Her translation software was already working on it. Somehow, parts of the message used mathematical concepts that humans could understand. Other scientists rushed into the room as news spread through the building. Dr. Martinez, the project director, looked at Sarah's screen with wide eyes. "Is this real?" he asked. "Running verification now," Sarah replied. "But it looks genuine. The signal is coming from the direction of Vega, approximately 27 light-years away." The translation software finished its work. Sarah read the message 3 times before she believed what she was seeing. The message was a declaration of war. "To the criminal colony of 442b," the message began. "You have stolen resources belonging to the Empire. You have ignored our previous warnings. We now demand your immediate surrender. You have 72 Earth hours to prepare for negotiation. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your settlement. This is your final warning, Emperor Al of the Empire." Sarah stared at the screen. The message included detailed scans of Earth's major cities: London, New York, Tokyo, Moscow. The aliens had been watching humanity and somehow thought Earth was this 442b colony they were angry about. "They got the wrong planet," Dr. Martinez whispered. "More than that," Sarah said, pointing at the technical data. "Look at these coordinates. They think we're on the other side of the galaxy. They completely messed up their navigation." Within an hour, Sarah's discovery reached the highest levels of government. The President of the United States called an emergency meeting with world leaders. The United Nations building in New York became the center of the most important discussion in human history. Sarah found herself on a video call with presidents, prime ministers, and generals from around the world. She explained the message again and again. The aliens had made a mistake, but they had also shown that they were watching Earth and considered humans a threat. "What do we know about their military strength?" asked the Chinese premier. Sarah pulled up her analysis. Based on the technical specifications in their message, they have faster-than-light travel and energy weapons. They control multiple star systems. Their fleet could reach Earth in approximately 6 days. "Can we contact them and explain the mistake?" asked the French president. "Possibly," Sarah said, "but there's something else you need to know. The signal came through quantum communication channels that we shouldn't be able to access. They're using technology we don't understand, but somehow we can intercept and decode their messages." The British Prime Minister leaned forward. "Are you saying we might be able to respond?" "I think so. Give me 48 hours and my team might be able to trace the signal back to its source." President Williams of the United States made the decision that would change everything. "Doctor, you have whatever resources you need. Every space agency, every tech company, every military research division on Earth is now working for you. We're calling it Project Wrong Number." The next 2 days were unlike anything in human history. SpaceX engineers worked with NASA scientists. Chinese quantum researchers shared data with Russian military experts. Tech companies opened their best laboratories. The internet buzzed with leaked information and wild theories. Sarah slept 4 hours total during those 2 days. She watched the world's minds solve problems that should have taken decades. The European Space Agency figured out how to boost the signal strength. MIT students cracked the alien communication protocol. A teenager in Mumbai discovered a way to trace the quantum signature back to its origin. Meanwhile, governments prepared for the possibility of war. Military bases went a high alert. Nuclear submarines moved into position. Space agencies pointed every telescope and satellite toward the stars, looking for incoming alien ships. But Sarah noticed something else happening. Humans were not panicking. They were not running in fear or begging for mercy. Instead, they were getting curious. And then they were getting angry. And then they were getting creative. "We traced the signal," Doctor from Seoul announced on the group video call. "It's coming from a star system 43 light-years away. We can send a response on the same frequency." "More importantly," added Doctor from Moscow, "we've hacked into their communication network. We can see their other messages." Sarah felt a smile cross her face for the first time in days. "What did we find?" "They're not as smart as they think they are," Doctor said. "Their military communications are surprisingly easy to intercept. We now know the size and location of their fleet. We know their weapons capabilities. We even know their battle plans." President Williams joined the call. "Doctor, how confident are you that we can send them a message?" "Very confident, sir. We can reach them in real time using their own quantum network." "Good. I want you to send them a response, but not an explanation or an apology. I want you to send them something that will make them think twice about threatening Earth." Sarah understood immediately. Humans had spent the last 48 hours doing what they did best. They had analyzed the problem, adapted to new technology, and figured out how to turn a disadvantage into an advantage. "What should the message say, sir?" President Williams smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Tell them we received their declaration of war. Tell them we're not the species they're looking for, but if they want to proceed anyway, we're ready to play." Sarah began typing the response that would introduce humanity to the galaxy. She had no idea she was starting the strangest war in cosmic history. Sarah stared at the blinking cursor on her computer screen. The most important message in human history waited to be sent. Around her, the control room buzzed with activity. Scientists from every country worked together, preparing humanity's response to an alien empire that had threatened the wrong planet. "Signal strength is optimal," Dr. Martinez reported. "We're using their own quantum communication network. This message will reach them instantly." "Translation protocols are ready," said Doctor from the Seoul Connection. "We're sending it in their language and including mathematical proofs so they know we understand their technology." Sarah took a deep breath and began typing the response that would shock the Empire. "Greetings, Empire. We received your declaration of war against 442b. We are not 442b. We are Earth, located in the Sol system. You appear to have made a navigation error. However, since you have threatened us and demonstrated that you have been watching our planet, we felt a response was appropriate." The message continued with attachments that made Sarah smile despite the seriousness of the situation. Human governments had worked together to create the most impressive intelligence package in history. Attached you will find complete analysis of your fleet movements based on intercepted communications, tactical assessment of your weapon systems, suggested improvements to your navigation protocols to prevent future mistakes, and a small sample of Earth's capabilities in case you wish to proceed with your threat anyway. The attachments were devastating. In just 2 days, humans had mapped the entire communication network. They knew where every ship was located. They understood how weapons worked. They had even figured out the aliens' military rank structure and identified their key commanders. But the final attachment was pure human creativity. Sarah had helped choose video clips that would give the aliens a proper introduction to humanity. The package included footage of human military exercises, but also scientific achievements that would impress any advanced civilization. There were videos of humans splitting atoms, landing on the moon, and building massive machines. Clips of extreme sports showed humans jumping from space, climbing impossible mountains, and racing at deadly speeds for pure entertainment. Construction footage demonstrated humans moving mountains, building cities underwater, and creating machines that could think. The final video was Sarah's favorite. It showed humans working together during natural disasters, strangers helping strangers, people risking their lives to save others, communities rebuilding after earthquakes and storms. It was a reminder that humans were not just warriors or scientists, but beings who cared about each other. "Message sent," Dr. Martinez announced. Sarah sat back in her chair. Across the world, humans waited to see what would happen next. Military leaders prepared for the possibility of invasion. Scientists worked on defensive technologies. but most people simply went about their daily lives, trusting that their leaders and scientists would handle the situation. The response came 12 hours later. Emperor Al himself sent the reply. Sarah could almost hear the confusion in the translated text. Species of Sol system. How did you intercept our military communications? How did you analyze our fleet positions? Our networks use quantum encryption that requires centuries of technological development to understand. The message revealed that they had been studying Earth for months, but they had seriously underestimated human capabilities. They thought humans were a primitive species that had barely discovered electricity. The Emperor's message continued with growing alarm. Your planet shows no evidence of space-faring civilization. Your largest weapons use chemical explosives. You have not achieved faster-than-light travel, yet you have demonstrated intelligence-gathering capabilities that rival our own empire. Explain this contradiction immediately. Sarah and her team prepared humanity's second response. This time, they decided to be completely honest about human nature. Emperor Al, humans excel at adaptation and learning. When threatened, we become very focused. In the past 72 hours, every major government, university, and research facility on Earth has worked together to understand your technology. We had strong motivation to learn quickly. The message included more technical details that would worry any military commander. Humans had not just intercepted communications. They had figured out how to access the aliens' computer networks. Earth's best hackers, working with quantum physicists and military cryptographers, had broken through centuries-old security systems. We now have access to your historical databases, the message continued. We understand your empire's structure and your methods of conquest. We have identified the real 442b colony that you are looking for. We have also discovered some information that might interest you. The final part of the message was a diplomatic masterpiece. Human intelligence agencies had found something the Empire did not know. 442b was not a mining operation stealing resources. It was a refugee settlement. The colony contained who had fled their own empire, seeking freedom and peace. The beings you seek to destroy are your own people, the message explained. They left your empire because they disagreed with your methods of expansion and conquest. They have established a peaceful community focused on scientific research and cultural development. They pose no threat to your empire. Sarah included one final paragraph that would change the course of galactic history. Humanity suggests a three-way discussion between Earth, the Empire, and the 442b colony. We believe this situation can be resolved without violence. However, if you choose to proceed with military action against any party, Earth will respond appropriately. We do not seek war, but we are prepared for it. The message was sent with one additional attachment: video footage of every major human city filmed from space. But these were not the scans the aliens had seen before. These new images showed something that made Sarah proud to be human. In every city and every country, humans were working together. Scientists shared research. Engineers built new technologies. Soldiers trained alongside former enemies. The entire planet had united in just 3 days, focused on a common challenge. "Let's see what they think of that," Dr. Martinez said. Sarah nodded, but she was already working on the next phase of humanity's response. While diplomats prepared for negotiations, Earth's minds were designing defensive systems that would protect the planet if diplomacy failed. The aliens had dialed the wrong number, but humanity was about to show them that sometimes wrong numbers lead to very interesting conversations. 3 hours later, the aliens sent their third message. It was much shorter than the previous ones. "We are sending a diplomatic fleet to Sol system. Arrival in 6 days. We wish to discuss this situation in person." Sarah smiled. The word diplomatic was very different from military. Humanity's response was working, but she also knew that the real test was still coming. In 6 days, Earth would host its first alien visitors. The question was whether they would come in peace or war. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the tactical displays with growing confusion. For 30 years, he had served the Empire as a military commander. He had conquered 17 star systems and defeated dozens of alien species. Nothing had prepared him for the intelligence reports about Earth. "Run the analysis again," he ordered his science officer. Commander activated the holographic display. Admiral, the data is consistent across all scans. The third planet of the Sol system shows no evidence of advanced technology. No energy shields, no orbital weapons platforms, no faster-than-light vessels. Their most powerful weapons appear to be chemical explosives. Then explain how they intercepted our quantum communications, Admiral demanded. I cannot, sir. According to our technology assessment, their civilization should not have progressed beyond basic electricity. Yet they demonstrated capabilities that suggest centuries of advancement beyond their apparent development level. Emperor Al had ordered Admiral to investigate Earth thoroughly before the diplomatic meeting. The Admiral's reconnaissance fleet hung at the edge of the Sol system, conducting detailed scans while trying to understand the contradiction. Sir, Commander said, we're receiving another transmission from the planet. From their government? The Admiral asked. No, sir. This appears to be from the 442b colony directly. They're using our own quantum network again. Admiral felt his stomach tighten. The refugees. In all the confusion about Earth's mysterious capabilities, he had almost forgotten about the original target of their mission. The Emperor wanted those rebels destroyed, but now Earth was protecting them. Put it on the main display, he ordered. The message appeared in perfect script. Admiral, this is Colony Leader and of 442b. We wish to speak with you directly before your meeting with Earth representatives. We have information that will interest you. The Admiral looked at his crew, and had been a respected scientist before she fled the Empire. Her research on quantum biology had advanced medicine for decades. Many officers secretly respected her, even though the Emperor had declared her a traitor. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're also receiving a message from Earth. They're inviting us to what they call a video conference with all three parties present. A video conference. Apparently, sir, it's a form of remote communication where all participants can see and speak to each other simultaneously, regardless of distance. They want to arrange a three-way discussion using quantum communication channels. Admiral considered his options. Emperor Al expected him to prepare for military conquest, but the intelligence reports about Earth made no sense. A species that could hack networks in 72 hours was either much more advanced than they appeared or dangerously creative. Accept both communications, he decided. Schedule this video conference for tomorrow. I want to understand what we're dealing with before we proceed. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah was experiencing the strangest week of her life. She had become humanity's chief alien communications specialist overnight. World leaders called her for advice. Military commanders asked her to interpret alien tactical data. Scientists sought her help understanding technology. But the most important development was happening in secret. Human intelligence agencies had made contact with the 442b colony and learned the truth about their situation. Doctor, President Williams said during their daily briefing, what did you learn from the refugees? Sarah pulled up her notes. Sir, colony leader and shared some very important information. The Empire has been expanding aggressively for over 200 years. They conquer species by demanding surrender, then enslaving any survivors. But there's growing resistance within the Empire itself. What kind of resistance? And estimates that 30% of citizens disagree with their government's militaristic policies. Many are scientists, artists, and teachers who want peaceful development instead of conquest. The 442b colony represents the first successful refugee settlement, but it says thousands of others would flee if they had somewhere safe to go. President Williams leaned forward. Are you suggesting we could split their empire? Possibly, sir, but it also warned us about something else. Emperor Al is facing internal pressure from military who think he's too soft. If he appears weak by negotiating with humans, they might remove him from power and replace him with someone even more aggressive. The president nodded grimly. So we need to give him a way to save face while ending this conflict. Exactly, and I think I have an idea. The next day, Sarah found herself participating in the most unusual diplomatic meeting in history. She sat in a secure conference room in Washington, with video screens showing President Williams and other world leaders. On another screen, Admiral appeared from his flagship. The third screen showed Colony Leader and from 442b. This is highly irregular, Admiral said. The Empire does not negotiate with rebels. Perhaps, President Williams replied, But Earth does not recognize your authority over independent colonies. We consider the 442B settlement to be a sovereign entity." And spoke for the first time. "Admiral, I know you remember our work together on the quantum biology project. You helped my team develop medical treatments that saved thousands of lives. Do you really believe I am a threat to the Empire?" The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "And you were declared a traitor when you fled. I have my orders." "Orders from an emperor who has never left the home world," and replied. "Admiral, you've seen dozens of planets. You know the cost of constant warfare. How many species have we destroyed? How many worlds have we left as lifeless rocks?" Sarah watched the alien body language carefully. Admiral seemed conflicted. This was the opening she had hoped for. "Admiral," Sarah said, "may I share some information that might interest you? Our analysis of your empire's expansion patterns suggests that your current military strategy is unsustainable." The Admiral looked surprised. "Explain." Sarah activated a holographic display that showed the Empire's territorial map. "Your Empire controls 47 star systems across a region approximately 800 light-years in diameter. Your military forces are spread thin, maintaining control over conquered populations. Mathematical analysis suggests that adding more territory will require resources you don't possess." "How could you possibly know our resource limitations?" the Admiral demanded. "Because," Sarah said with a smile, "humans are very good at logistics. We've analyzed your supply lines, your energy consumption, and your population distribution. Your empire is reaching the practical limits of sustainable expansion." Admiral stared at the display. Sarah could see that her analysis had hit home. The Admiral was a military professional. He understood strategic reality better than politicians. "What are you proposing?" he asked. President Williams took over. "A different approach to galactic development. Instead of conquest, consider cooperation. Earth is willing to share our technological innovations with peaceful alien civilizations. The 442B colony has already developed new scientific breakthroughs that could benefit your people." And added, "If the Empire adopted peaceful policies, thousands of refugees would return home voluntarily, bringing their knowledge and skills back to improve your civilization." Sarah watched Admiral process this information. The alien commander was clearly intelligent and experienced. He could see the logical advantages of the proposal, but he was also a military officer with orders from his emperor. "I will present your proposal to Emperor Al," he said finally, "but I cannot guarantee his response. There are factions within the Empire that prefer military solutions to diplomatic ones." "We understand," President Williams said. "But Admiral, please convey one additional message to your Emperor. Earth has no desire for war, but we have spent the past week preparing for that possibility. If the Empire chooses violence, they will discover that humans can be as creative with weapons as we are with diplomacy." The conference ended with an agreement to meet again in 48 hours. As the screens went dark, Sarah realized that humanity had just offered the galaxy something new, an alternative to conquest and violence. Whether the aliens would accept that alternative remained to be seen. Emperor Al paced the royal chambers of his flagship, reading Admiral's report for the third time. The massive fleet hung in space just outside Earth's solar system, waiting for his decision. 27 ships carrying enough firepower to destroy a planet. It should have been a simple show of force. Instead, it had become the most confusing military operation in history. "Your Majesty," Admiral said over the communication system, "the humans are requesting a formal diplomatic meeting. They suggest we use their video conference technology to include all parties." "These humans," the Emperor said slowly, "they intercepted our quantum communications in less than 3 days." "Yes, Your Majesty, and they've demonstrated access to our historical databases, our fleet positions, and our strategic plans. They know more about our military capabilities than some of our own officers." Emperor Al stopped packing. In 60 years of life and 30 years of rule, he had never encountered anything like this situation. Species usually responded to demands in predictable ways. They either surrendered immediately or fought desperately with inferior technology. None had ever responded by hacking into networks and suggesting diplomatic solutions. "What do our military advisors recommend?" he asked. "General suggests immediate attack," Admiral replied. "He believes the humans are bluffing about their defensive capabilities. but our science officers disagree. They've detected energy signatures around Earth that don't match known human technology. The Emperor knew about the political pressure he faced. General represented the faction that wanted aggressive expansion. If Al appeared weak by negotiating with primitives, the general might challenge his leadership. Schedule the meeting, he decided, but maintain battle readiness. If these humans are deceiving us, we will respond with overwhelming force. 2 hours later, Emperor Al found himself in the strangest diplomatic meeting of his career. The main screen of his flagship showed multiple images simultaneously. President Williams represented Earth from a conference room in Washington. Colony leader appeared from the 442B settlement. Admiral joined from his ship. And in the center of the screen, a human scientist named Dr. Sarah acted as what they called a moderator. "Your Imperial Majesty," Doctor said, "thank you for agreeing to this discussion. We believe this situation can benefit everyone involved." Emperor Al studied the human carefully. She appeared calm and confident, despite facing the ruler of an empire that controlled 47 star systems. Either humans were incredibly brave, or they were more dangerous than they appeared. "Doctor," the Emperor said, "my empire has existed for over 4 centuries. We have conquered dozens of species and brought order to chaotic regions of the galaxy. Why should we change our methods because of one mistake in our navigation systems?" Doctor smiled. It was not a threatening expression, but something about it made the Emperor uneasy. "Your Majesty, may I show you something?" she asked. The display changed to show a detailed analysis of military operations over the past century. Charts, graphs, and tactical summaries filled the screen. Emperor Al realized he was looking at his own empire's classified strategic data, analyzed and organized by human intelligence agencies. "This is impossible," he whispered. "These files are stored in quantum-encrypted archives on our home world." "Your Majesty," Doctor continued, "our analysis shows that your empire's expansion rate has slowed dramatically over the past 50 years. The cost of maintaining control over conquered territories now exceeds the resources gained from those territories. Your military is stretched beyond sustainable limits." The Emperor felt cold despite the warm bridge atmosphere. The human was correct. His own economic advisors had recently submitted similar reports, warning that the empire faced resource shortages if expansion continued. "Furthermore," Doctor said, "our psychological analysis of conquered populations suggests that rebellion is becoming more common. The 442B refugees represent a larger trend. Unless policies change, you will face increasing internal resistance." General's voice crackled over the communication system from the home world. "Your Majesty, these humans are trying to deceive you with false analysis. Order the attack immediately." Doctor looked directly at the Emperor. "Your Majesty, would you like to see our psychological profile of General? We've analyzed his public speeches and military recommendations over the past decade. His proposed strategies would likely result in the collapse of your empire within 50 years. Emperor Al stared at the screen in shock. These humans had not only infiltrated computer networks, they had analyzed individual leaders and predicted the consequences of their policies. It was either the most sophisticated intelligence operation in galactic history, or these beings possessed analytical capabilities that surpassed even science. "What do you propose?" he asked quietly. President Williams took over the discussion. "Your Majesty, Earth offers a different approach to galactic development. Instead of conquest, we suggest cooperation. Instead of enslaving other species, we propose voluntary partnerships that benefit everyone involved." "Impossible," the Emperor replied. "Different species cannot coexist peacefully. Our empire maintains order through strength." Colony leader spoke for the first time during the meeting. "Your Majesty, with respect, you are wrong. The 442B colony includes humans and 3 other species working together successfully. In just 2 years, we have developed new technologies that could revolutionize medicine, agriculture, and energy production throughout the galaxy." And Doctor added, "Earth has prepared a comprehensive proposal for galactic cooperation. We're willing to share our technological innovations, our organizational methods, and our diplomatic protocols with any civilization that commits to peaceful development." Emperor Al found himself considering possibilities he had never imagined. But before he could respond, General's voice interrupted again. Your Majesty, you cannot seriously consider negotiating with rebels and primitives. Order the attack. Destroy these humans before they corrupt more of our citizens with their foolish ideas. The Emperor looked around his bridge. His officers watched him carefully, waiting for his decision. Some supported General's aggressive approach. Others seemed intrigued by the human proposals. The future of his empire hung in the balance. Doctor seemed to sense his internal struggle. Your Majesty, may I suggest a demonstration of good faith? Earth is prepared to share one piece of technology immediately, as a gesture of our commitment to cooperation. What technology? The Emperor asked. Our medical research on quantum biology, she replied. Dr. N's work at 442b has led to breakthroughs that could extend by 30% and eliminate 17 genetic diseases that currently affect your population. Emperor Al felt the bridge around him go completely silent. Every officer stared at the screen. Genetic diseases had plagued their species for. The possibility of eliminating them would transform civilization. You would share this technology freely? He asked. Absolutely, President Williams replied. In exchange for your commitment to end aggressive expansion and work with other species peacefully. The Emperor realized that he faced the most important decision in history. He could order the attack and maintain traditional imperial policies, or he could accept this unprecedented offer of cooperation and change the future of his civilization. Before he could speak, Doctor added one final piece of information that would change everything. Your Majesty, there's one more thing you should know. Earth's defensive preparations are more extensive than you realize. Would you like to see what we've accomplished in the past week? The display changed again, showing Earth from space. But this time, the Emperor could see what the humans had really been doing. Every satellite had been modified into a weapons platform. Every city showed evidence of advanced defensive systems. The entire planet had been turned into a fortress that could defend itself against any attack. More importantly, human ships were rising from the planet's surface. Not primitive chemical rockets, but vessels using technology that the Emperor didn't recognize. Somehow, in just 1 week, humans had developed spacecraft that could match designs. How? The Emperor whispered. Doctor smiled again. Your Majesty, humans are very good at learning, and we had excellent teachers. Your own technical specifications taught us everything we needed to know about advanced propulsion and energy weapons. Emperor Al realized that the humans had done something impossible. They had used technology against itself, turning intended victims into equals. The choice was no longer between conquest and negotiation. It was between cooperation and mutual destruction. I accept your proposal, he said quietly. Let us discuss the terms of this galactic cooperation you suggest. 6 months later, Dr. Sarah stood in the observation deck of Earth's first orbital diplomatic station, watching the strangest sight in human history. Cargo ships docked peacefully alongside human vessels. Alien diplomats walked through corridors designed by human engineers. In the distance, she could see construction crews from 5 different species working together to build a new research facility. The universe had become a very different place since the day she intercepted that misdirected alien message. Doctor, President Williams said as he joined her at the viewing window, the Council is ready for the final vote. Sarah nodded and followed him to the main conference chamber. The Galactic Cooperation Council had been humanity's idea, but it now included representatives from 12 different species. What had started as a mistake in alien navigation had become the foundation for a new approach to interstellar relations. Emperor Al sat at the main table, looking much healthier than he had during their first video conference. The medical treatments developed by the 442b colony had already extended his expected by decades. Across from him, colony leader and represented the refugee settlements that had grown into independent research communities throughout the galaxy. The proposal before us today, President Williams said, opening the session, is the establishment of the Galactic Wrong Number Prevention Bureau. Admiral, who had resigned his military position to become the representative, smiled at the name. I still find it remarkable that our greatest diplomatic achievement began with a communication error. Actually, Doctor said, our analysis suggests it wasn't entirely an error. The original message was intended for coordinates in the system. Earth's position created a quantum resonance effect that redirected the signal. The probability of this happening by pure chance was approximately 14 billion to 1. And leaned forward with interest. Are you suggesting the universe wanted us to meet? I'm suggesting, Sarah replied, that sometimes the most unlikely events lead to the best outcomes. The vote was unanimous. The Galactic Wrong Number Prevention Bureau would be established on Earth, with Dr. Sarah as its first director. The organization's mission was to prevent communication errors from causing interstellar conflicts, but everyone understood its real purpose. Humanity had become the galaxy's diplomatic problem solvers. After the meeting ended, Sarah returned to her office in the diplomatic station. Her walls were covered with star charts showing the expanding network of peaceful cooperation between species. The Empire had transformed from a militaristic confederation into a voluntary alliance focused on scientific advancement and cultural exchange. But the most satisfying change was personal. Sarah's team now included aliens from 6 different species, all working together to monitor interstellar communications and prevent conflicts before they started. Doctor, her assistant announced, we're receiving a priority communication from the Andromeda sector. Sarah sat down at her console. What's the situation? A species called the Collective has sent what appears to be a territorial claim to a mining operation in the Rigel system. But the message was misdirected to a peaceful research colony on Tau Prime. The colonists are asking for our help. Sarah smiled and opened a new case file. Here we go again. The message appeared on her screen. It was a typical aggressive demand for surrender, backed by threats of military action. But Sarah had learned to see these communications differently. What looked like aggression was often fear, misunderstanding, or simply poor information. Computer, trace the signal origin and run a full analysis on technology and social structure, she ordered. Within an hour, her team had assembled a comprehensive intelligence package. They were an aquatic species facing severe environmental problems on their home world. Their aggressive expansion was driven by desperation, not conquest. They needed new habitable planets quickly, or their civilization would collapse. Sarah composed a response that would have seemed impossible 6 months earlier. Instead of surrendering or threatening military action, she offered a solution. Collective, this is Dr. Sarah of the Galactic Wrong Number Prevention Bureau. We received your territorial claim, which appears to have been misdirected from its intended target. We would like to offer assistance with your environmental crisis. The Galactic Cooperation Council includes several species with expertise in aquatic habitat restoration and terraforming. We believe we can help you find a solution that doesn't require conquering other civilizations. The response came back within 12 hours. The collective was interested in discussing alternatives to military expansion. 3 weeks later, Sarah hosted another diplomatic video conference. This time, the participants included representatives, the Tau colonists, and a team of environmental engineers from 4 different species. By the end of the discussion, they had agreed on a plan to restore the home world while establishing new colonies through peaceful negotiation rather than conquest. As Sarah filed the successful resolution report, she reflected on how much had changed since that night when she first intercepted an alien signal. Humanity had discovered that the galaxy was full of intelligent species, but most of them were struggling with the same basic problems: resource scarcity, environmental challenges, and communication difficulties. The solution wasn't conquest or submission. It was cooperation, creativity, and the willingness to help others solve their problems. Doctor, her assistant announced, Admiral is requesting a private communication. Sarah accepted the call. The former military commander appeared on her screen, looking pleased about something. Sarah, he said, I wanted to share some news. The first class of diplomats has graduated from the Earth Diplomatic Academy. 27 officers have volunteered to leave military service and join the Galactic Cooperation Council. That's wonderful news, Admiral. How is Emperor Al handling the transition? Better than expected. The economic benefits of peaceful cooperation have exceeded all projections. Our GDP has increased by 40% since we stopped spending resources on conquest and started focusing on trade and scientific development. Even General has admitted that the new policies are more successful than the old ones. Sarah laughed. I never thought I'd see the day when a general would admit he was wrong about the benefits of warfare. Humans have taught us many things, Admiral said. But the most important lesson is that strength comes from helping others succeed, not from defeating them. After the call ended, Sarah walked back to the observation deck. Earth hung below her, blue and beautiful and peaceful. Around her, beings from across the galaxy worked together on projects that would benefit entire civilizations. Scientists developed new technologies. Engineers designed better communication systems. Diplomats prevented conflicts before they could begin. It was exactly the future she had dreamed of during those long nights listening to cosmic static, searching for signs of intelligent life. Her communicator buzzed with another incoming message. This one came from a species she had never heard of, located in a distant galaxy. They had sent what appeared to be a declaration of war against someone called the Metal Singers of Nine. But the signal had been misdirected to a peaceful trading post near Jupiter. Sarah smiled and opened another case file. The universe was vast and full of intelligent beings who sometimes made mistakes, faced impossible problems, or simply needed someone to help them find better solutions. Fortunately, humanity had gotten very good at taking wrong numbers and turning them into right conversations. She began composing her response to what would undoubtedly become another successful diplomatic resolution. After all, the Galactic Wrong Number Prevention Bureau had a perfect track record so far. And Sarah intended to keep it that way. The galaxy was finally learning to communicate properly. All it had taken was one species crazy enough to answer the phone when the wrong number called, smart enough to figure out how to call back, and creative enough to turn a threat into a conversation. In other words, it had taken humanity being exactly what it had always been: curious, adaptable, and determined to help others solve their problems. Even when those problems started with someone dialing the wrong number.